Hello friends, I am Arpit and I am here with today's analysis. Today is 1st of June and we are going to deal with two very important topics which are in news. The first is the pulses imports rise in India. Well, this was predicted earlier also. Why the pulses imports have risen? Because of this weather phenomenon called as El Nino. El Nino has brought in scanty rainfalls in the country and pulses do need water to grow. As a result, the prices of these pulses have also gone up. There has been more than 15% consumer price index inflation found in pulses this year. The government is doing all it can to tackle this particular issue, but it is less likely to be tackled without or the help of the climate. Means we need more rainfall to increase the productivity and to lower the prices. Second is Global Food Policy Report 2024. Now this is an annual report released by International Food Policy Research Institute headquartered in Washington DC. This report specifically with respect to India highlights one thing, that is that Indians are now moving more and more towards processed food, means snacking and all, which is not healthy at all. The incidence of malnutrition has risen in India from 2006 till 2016. Again, not a good news for India. Indians are not focusing on micronutrients. Not a good news for India. Overall, hunger still persists in the country. Again, not a good news for India. So we will see what kind of findings are there in this particular report. But yes, before that, we will move to the pulses first. So in today's session, both these topics are related to food items or food security, we can say. Now, pulses basically are very, very important. They are an important source of carbohydrate as well as protein. And most of India have pulses as their staple food, in their staple diet. It is also assumed that India is the largest producer, largest consumer of pulses as well as largest importer of pulses. Whereas the government of India wants to reduce the imports of pulses, and the government of India has undertaken multiple efforts which we will see to make us Atmanirbhar or to reduce the import dependency in pulses. Things did started to happen, but the weather vagaries, scanty rainfall or haphazard rainfall this year in the El Nino year has led to reduction in pulses production. Thereby, we had to resort to increase in imports because staple diets cannot change. We have to eat that. You might be wondering, sir, in India still the agriculture is rainfall dependent. Actually, 60% of the net irrigated net agricultural area in India, net sown area in India, 60% of it is dependent upon rainfall still. And in those areas, pulses do grow and hence pulses production is impacted, leading to increase in pulses imports. So let us see. In April 2024, the consumer price index for cereals was 8.63%. Means consumer price index for cereals means this index is an index of inflation. So this was 8.63%, higher than in April 2023, means the inflation is 8.63% for cereals. Now, but this inflation in the price of roti means roti comes from wheat, may not have significantly hurt a majority of poor and lower middle class Indians. See, if overall cereals are becoming expensive, so wheat will also become expensive because it is part of overall cereals. But wheat becoming expensive will not impact the poor or the lower middle income Indians. Why? Because the government's flagship program, the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana or the National Food Security Act, which aims to provide 5 kg per person per month wheat, rice and coarse grains free of cost to the people. So inflation in the prices of wheat, rice, coarse grains will not impact the poor. But since pulses are not part of this Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana or National Food Security Act, they will impact the poor. So, this Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Ann Yojana or National Food Security Act is covering roughly 813.5 million people, means 81 crore people are being covered under this almost. But this inflation not impacting them. Inflation means inflation in rice or wheat. Rotis will not become expensive because everything is free of cost for them. But the same scenario is not about the pulses. This cannot be said about the pulses. Now, pulses annual retail inflation 16.84 in April 2024. This is above 15%, too high. Nearly twice that for cereals. Cereals was 8.63. This inflation would have hurt all the more given that dal, unlike roti, is hardly sold through the public distribution system. These are sold through the public distribution systems. But dal as such is not sold. Now some states, they have included dal as part of their program under public distribution system. But generally from the central government side, the law, National Food Security Act, entails wheat, rice and coarse grains only. It does not include pulses. So that is why it is saying that largely dals are not distributed through the public distribution system. Now consumers, including low income households, have to meet their requirements substantially, if not entirely, through open market channels. And open market channels, you will get increased prices. Now we have a table over here in which we are comparing the dal prices or the pulses prices 2023 versus 2024. And here I've chosen one of the most common dals, chana being the most common dal. Chana was 70 rupees per kg in 2023, it is 85 rupees per kg. Arhar and tur 120 rupees per kg, 160 rupees per kg. This jump is significant. Roughly, I would say 33% hike, 33% jump. Then urad 110 rupees per kg, 120 rupees per kg. ठीक है, bearable. Moong 110, 120. Now one such pulse, that is masoor, the orange lentil, the prices of this reduced. 95 rupees per kg in 2023, 90 rupees per kg in 2024. So here is basically a comparative analysis of the prices last year, this year, the most commonly used dals, and the most common is chana, which is being used by Indians. Now why dal prices have shot up? So see, prices inflation is because of the supply demand mismatch. If supply is too much, demand is not less, the prices will fall down. But if the supply is less and demand is high, so prices will go up. And this is what happened in the cases of dals or pulses. See, there is decline in domestic production since the last 3 years. If you see 2021-22, 27.3 million tons of pulses were produced domestically. 26.06 million tons in 2022-23 to 23.244 million tons in 2023-24. So consecutively 3 years the productivity has come down. And largely in 2022-23 and 23-24, the reason being identified is El Nino. Largely here 2023-24, but yes, some impact was there in 2022-23 as well. So patchy monsoon, winter, rain causing a decline in domestic production. Now this production is as per Agriculture Ministry's estimates. The two pulses to register the highest inflation have both seen sharp output falls. Chana from 13.54 million tons in 2021-22 to 12.27 million tons in 2023-24 or 22-23 and 12.16 million tons in 2023-24. So there the prices have increased because the productivity has reduced. Arhar tur from 4.22 million tons to 3.31 million tons and 3.34 million tons. So here also prices have increased. So trade sources peg this year's chana production to be less than 10 million tons. So abhi to chana production is above 12 million tons. है ना? 2022-23 and 12.16 million tons 2023-24. Now experts are saying this year this will fall below 10 million tons, which will further increase the prices of chana. The result of this low productivity is rise in imports because dal is staple. We want to have it. It is part of our diets. So India's pulses imports were valued at $3.75 billion in 2023-24. So this was $3.75 billion. The highest since $3.90 billion in 2015-16 and $4.24 billion in 2016-17. These 2 years. The common thing about 2015-16 and 16-17 and 2023-24 is that these years were also El Nino years. So El Nino has set in after 2015-16 only, and you can see the impact on pulses. Now in quantity terms, import of major pulses totaled 4.54 metric tons in 2023-24, up from 2.37 million tons and 2.52 million tons in the preceding two fiscals, although lower than the all-time highest of 5.58 million tons and 6.36 million tons. So this is the statistics in front of you. Pulses imports over the years in India. You could see this 2018-19, 19-20, the pulses imports reduced a lot because productivity was good and the government was also giving a lot of benefits to the farmers. So the question is, are we taking any steps to be Atmanirbhar? Yes, we had been taking steps to be Atmanirbhar. That is why you see this drop in imports over here. So basically what are the steps? The resurgence in imports marks reversal of the relative self-sufficiency achieved by the country. Relatively, we achieved self-sufficiency 2018-19, 19-20, but now again the pulses production has reduced and the imports have increased. Now, how was that achieved in 2018-19, 19-20 when the pulses imports reduced? Government policy measures. MSP based procurements, MSP was made lucrative, attractive, so farmers grew this. Levying of duties leading to a near stoppage of imports. We levied import duties on the pulses being imported, making those pulses expensive. Now expensive pulses will not get sold over here. So the farmers will have to produce over here. So government did that. Import duties were levied. So government levied import duties which increased the prices of the imported pulses, made them less competitive, so they were not getting sold. More competitive was the pulses over here, so they were getting sold. So it was like this. Breeding of short duration chana and moong varieties. So short duration means within 4-5 months the crop is ready. Not 4-5 months, within 50 to 75 days. Variety of moong now allow planting of as many as 4 crops a year. Kharif, Rabi, Spring and Summer. So this increased productivity because the short duration chana and moong, making it possible to cultivate these with little or no irrigation using the residual soil moisture left by previous crops. And 4 cropping seasons could have been done in these pulses. The way ahead, dal inflation in the coming months would largely depend on the southwest monsoon. Because we are dependent on the monsoon, we are dependent on the weather. If monsoon will be good, then the pulses production will be good. Then the government will have to come in, make MSPs attractive, do the procurement, motivate farmers to grow more and more because now the weather is with us. Weather is favorable. That is the only way out as of now. If the weather is not favorable, we do anything, MSP make it attractive, procure from the farmers, it is not going to impact. As simple as that. So dependency on nature is there with respect to pulses. And one good thing is that IMD has said that El Nino will withdraw by July and La Nina will set in, and in La Nina conditions there is increased rainfall in the country. So that is going to be a good news relatively for the pulses. Okay. So this is basically there. Next is the Global Food Policy Report 2024. This report is released annually by an international, non-profit organization, that is International Food Policy Research Institute, IFPRI. Now 2024 report, Food Systems for Healthy Diets and Nutrition. This was the title. India related findings. Since we are talking about healthy diets, so let's see what kind of healthy diets Indians are having. 38% Indians consume unhealthy diet, calorie dense and nutrient poor. This is on the rise. like pastries, calorie dense, nutrient poor, or fried items, calorie dense, nutrient poor. Yeah. 38% Indians are consuming it. 28% Indians consume all 5 recommended food groups, that is starchy staple food, 1 vegetable, 1 fruit, 1 pulse, nut or seed, and 1 animal source food. Animal source food can be milk, can be eggs, can be meat, anything. So only 28% Indians consume all 5 recommended food groups, and the rest 72% do not consume these 5 groups. 1 group may be missing, 2 groups may be missing, like this. It can be there. Consumption of processed food is increasing in India, and this is not a good sign because this is high calorie or calorie dense and nutrient poor food. In India, the malnutritioned population has increased from 15.4% in 2011 to 16.6% in 2021. What is malnutrition? The most common conception among aspirants about malnutrition is that lack of nutrition. Actually, that is not true. You will have to, change this perception. If you have this perception, malnutrition is equal to lack in nutrition. Actually, malnutrition is inappropriate nutrition. When nutrition is available in inappropriate, I would say, volumes or inappropriate levels. Malnutrition comes in many forms. First form is stunting. People are too short for their age. According to the age, the height should have been this much, but the height actually is this much. That is stunting. Wasting. People are too thin for their height. They are too thin for their height, and actually this is what we used to consider malnutrition. Even I used to consider this as malnutrition only. I didn't consider this, and I definitely did not consider this obesity. People are overweight. This is not malnutrition. This was not malnutrition according to me, but yes, when I read about it, the actual definition of malnutrition entails all these. When your height is small, according to your age, stunting it is called as. When you are too thin for your height, it is called as wasting, and when you are too fat according to your height, it is called as obesity. Now, if you are having unhealthy diets, calorie dense and nutrient poor, you will be ending up in this category, obese category, obesity, and this is on the rise. At the global level also, this is on the rise, obesity. Now, last point, prevalence of overweight in adults increased. So that is why I told you that obesity is on the rise, from 12.9% in 2006 to 16.4% in 2016. So there are overweight people also increasing in India. Now, a snapshot of present challenges. These challenges are not only for India but for the entire world. The screenshot has been taken from the report itself. First is globally, between 691 and 783 million people, more than 9% of the population faced hunger in 2022. So, around 8 billion people are there and 9% of them are facing hunger. Micronutrient deficiencies. See, macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins and fats. Micronutrients, zinc, iron and all. So, micronutrient deficiencies impact more than half of children under 5 and 2/3 of adult women in the world. Overweight and obesity is on the rise globally. 43% of adults are overweight and 16% are obese. Obese is a higher category, overweight is less than obese. More than double the rate 30 years ago. So these kind of people are rising. An estimated 2 to 3 billion people, many of them in Africa and South Asia, cannot afford a healthy diet. So we saw 28% of the people in India are only having access to all the 5 essential food items. 72% are not. So it is like this. Unhealthy diets are the leading risk factor for non-communicable diseases, which are responsible for more than 73% of deaths globally. For example, cardiovascular disease, heart attacks and all. Unhealthy diets are responsible. If you eat too much of fried food, too much of mirch masala, your arteries will get clogged. And this will lead to these kind of deaths. And non-communicable disease it is, cardiovascular disease. Only with eating habits it can be controlled. Food system activities contribute around 1/3 of global greenhouse gas emissions. So food activities, production, transportation, wastage, because from the wastage also a lot of methane gas is emitted. So it is causing around 1/3 of the global greenhouse gas production, which has to be controlled. This is one such, I would say, area where we can actually work. Now the focus areas of IFPRI while making this report is gender and development. It should be focusing on that, because females and all should have access to good food and good diet. Climate change, it already talked about 1/3 greenhouse gases being emitted from here. Malnutrition, it's talking about it. And transgenic crops. Transgenic crops means, interbreeding of crops and all can be done so that productivity can increase, or the nutrition level of that product or that agricultural product can increase, which can enhance the nutrition levels. So all these areas IFPRI focuses on. Publications means what kinds of reports this particular organization releases. First is the Global Food Policy Report, which we discussed just now. Second is the Global Hunger Index. This is also very much important, and when it was released for 2023-24, we discussed it as well. It is released in collaboration of IFPRI, the World Hunger Life, this is an NGO, and Concern Worldwide. These three bodies collectively release the Global Hunger Index. Now with this, we've come to the end of the topics. Now MCQs. First, consider the following statements and mark the correct one. First is, pulses prices go up during El Nino years in India. Second is, pulses imports are made less restrictive during El Nino years in India. Which of them is or are correct? Second, with the prices of which of the pulses fell in 2024 as compared to 2023? Tur, chana, urad, masoor. Very simple and straightforward question. Consider the following statements and mark the correct one. First statement is, pulses production in India has fallen regularly in the last 3 years. Second is, pulses imports were the highest in India in 2023-24 in the last 3 fiscal years. Only one, only two, both 1 and 2, neither 1 nor 2. Fourth, which of the following organizations are responsible for releasing the Global Hunger Index? World Hunger Life, Concern Worldwide, International Food Policy Research Institute. Of these, you have to tell which one is there or what is the right combination. And the last question, which one among the following statements are true about IFPRI? It is headquartered in New York. It is a specialized agency under United Nations. Which one among them is or are correct? And with this, we've come to an end of today's session. I will be meeting you on Monday now with more such informative news pieces. Till then, you guys very well know what to do. Keep studying, keep reading, keep writing, keep watching the videos, and most importantly, keep revising. Namaste. Jai Hind.